Well, hi, everybody. My name is Brian Cashman, and tonight we're fortunate enough to be joined by Abby Benson. And Abby is the field production coordinator down in, well, I'll let you explain it, Abby, more about what you do and where you're at and all those details. But we are really glad that you're able to join us. Thank you so much for making the time tonight.
Yeah, thanks for chatting with me. So like Brian said, I am the field production coordinator at Featherstone Farm, which is an organic vegetable farm in Rushford, Minnesota. So we're in southeast Minnesota, kind of in the bluffs in the driftless zone here. And so we raise about 135 acres of vegetables on over 200 acres that we rotate through. And we sell those vegetables into the Twin Cities and some more local markets. So we're growing most of the vegetables that you can think of, and maybe some of them that you haven't heard of. And my job on the farm is I'm basically in charge of all the production. So we're a big enough farm that we have sort of a group of leaders managing different parts of the farm. So there's somebody who's in charge of harvest. There's somebody who's in charge of marketing, somebody who's in charge of the warehouse and the wash and pack, preparing things for the stores. But my job is basically planning and growing all of the food. So starting this time of year, we're making all of the plans for everything we're going to grow, how we want to grow it, where it's going to go. And then all of the details that go into that, like what sort of fertility we're going to use, what lessons we learned from year to year, what we want to change, budgeting, all of that. So I work with a team of a couple of people to do all of that planning. And then we'll start seeding for the year in March, doing all of our planting in the greenhouse to prepare for the field. And then in April, May, June, we'll do a lot of planting, and I'm in charge of a team of maybe up to 12 people that time of year who come. We hire a lot of folks from Mexico who come part-time. And so that's another really fun part of my job, is that I'm managing people in both English and in Spanish. And it's a really fun sort of cultural experience here at the farm.
Yeah. And I really appreciate the description, Abby, of what you do and even the cycles to it. That's fascinating. So you think back to yourself when you're a high school student, did you have any idea that you'd end up in this position someday, or an inkling of that?
I had no idea. When I grew up in a very small town in Iowa, surrounded by corn and beans, very, very flat. So all conventional agriculture, and that sort of lifestyle didn't really appeal to me at the time, but I was very into being in the outdoors and adventuring and exploring and just being active outside. So when I went to college, at Luther College in Decorah. Yep. And I sort of chose that just because it is such a cool natural environment and is really an outdoorsy place to be. And so I went there not having much idea about what I wanted to do after college, but just sort of followed my gut for what classes sounded interesting and what was really inspiring for me. So while I was there, I did a lot of environmental studies, environmental science, environmental philosophy, and just got a lot more into learning about the food system and where our food comes from, and the environmental impacts, the health impacts of all of those things. And Decorah, it has a really exciting kind of booming local food scene there with cool local vegetable farmers are kind of celebrities in Decorah, at least in the crowd I was hanging out with. Yeah. So when I graduated from college, I just got a job on a vegetable farm because it sounded really fun and exciting. And I really like, working outdoors, working with my hands, problem solving, doing all of that, the sort of things that we do. And I loved the work. And so after that, I was hooked, and at that point, I knew that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned some of the benefits of what you do. What would you say is maybe the most rewarding aspect of your job?
Yeah, there are so many rewarding aspects of it. I love the seasonality of it. I love that throughout the year, my job changes so much. What I'm doing in December is completely different from what I'm doing in March, from what I'm doing in July and October in December. It's different all the time, and every year is also different. There's always new challenges. We're always building and trying to get better, learning from last year and dealing with whatever is like thrown our way. So that's really exciting for me, that it's never monotonous. I mean, some of the tasks that we do are monotonous, but everything's always in flux. I love working outside, working with the seasons. And I really love, I mean, not all farms are like this, but because of the scale of the farm that I'm on and what we do here, I work with a lot of people and a diversity of people. And so one of the most rewarding things for me is just working with all of those people, and the fact that we're all able to collaborate and bring our different skills and different personalities and ideas together to create something that to me is really exciting.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Abby, right away how it's organic farming, and you mentioned in your experience at Luther of environmental philosophy and some of those pieces. Would you say that is there more opportunity now than maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago within that realm, that space of organic farming and kind of what you're talking about? Or what advice would you give a young person that maybe has some of the same feelings as you, kind of wants to go in that direction?
Yeah, I think it is really exciting, and there are a lot of opportunities. There's also a lot of challenges with it because, climate change is real. And so what we do is continuously, we're always dealing with new changes and new weather events, and a lot of different things are being thrown our way. But organic and eating healthy and taking care of your, growing food for your community, I think is something that more and more people are talking about now, and people are really valuing. Last year with the pandemic, we had one of the best years we've ever had. And I think people really, started to think a lot more about cooking, being at home with their families, supporting their local communities in that way. And I think that's organic is part of it, but also I think a big part of it is just feeding your local community and supporting the people who are here, feeding people who are in your own neighborhood, in your community.
And so you mentioned Rushford, and I think you also mentioned that you the food that you grow gets distributed to different groups in different areas. What are some of the ways that you plug into the local community? Is it through farmers markets or cooperative shares, or what are some of those avenues that connect you with the community?
So I'd say the main way is through the community supported shares, the CSA program. We don't do a farmer's market anymore. Most of our sales are done through wholesale and then through the CSA program. So yeah, through the CSA, we pack custom boxes for about over 1,000 people. Some of those local, Winona, La Crosse, Rochester, and a lot to the Twin Cities. But yeah, it's pretty amazing how many people we could reach, and the Twin Cities feel a lot closer, to me, since we're growing food for so many people there. And we have events on our farm that are really exciting for people who live in the cities to be able to come down and see. We do a strawberry social every year, and people can come down and see the farm and sort of understand where their food is being grown. And that's a really fun way to plug in and connect with the community, get kids on the farm to so many kids don't have any idea what a broccoli plant looks like, or has never picked a strawberry off a plant. So that's really fun.
So if just to reference kind of a stereotype of a male farmer on a tractor going through the fields, what advice would you have or lens would you have with especially our young females that want to go into agriculture or want to do some of the things that you're doing? Any advice for the females interested in this space?
Yeah, no, that is a real thing. There's definitely, agriculture is a male dominated space. So you do kind of have to have a tough skin, and just, I guess for me, just be confident in what it is that you want to do and keep learning and just keep growing your skills. And I've really found that if just by demonstrating passion and competence and, just being here doing the work, being a hard worker, I've had very little problem with people that I work with gaining respect, because I think people can recognize hard work and dedication. And I think maybe that is more dominant even than the gendered stereotypes. I think hard workers recognize hard workers, and if people don't recognize it and can't just see a female farmer and don't give them that respect, I would say just let it roll off, because there's a lot of people out there who respect it, and the work is rewarding.
I appreciate sharing about the hard work piece, and that seems to be a similar message across career fields, that do the best you can, work hard, and that usually open up doors for you. So maybe one more question, Abby, for you tonight. So you mentioned you grow a variety of vegetables and food items. Do you have a favorite vegetable?
Yes, so there's a crop family called the brassicas, which is cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale. There are a lot of other things in that group. And they are my favorites by far. Probably my favorite is cabbage, because when you grow a huge field, we'll grow multiple acres of cabbages, and to see them all lined up in a row in all different colors, it's so beautiful to see. And then when you harvest them, it's so satisfying, because you're cutting these giant, maybe like a 7-pound cabbage, and the cabbage harvests are so fun, because you go out with a big group of people and everybody's working together with the harvest equipment, and sometimes picking hundreds of bins, and it's very satisfying.
Well, you make harvesting acres of cabbage sound really great. So you can tell
For
you're
me,
passionate
it's very
about it.
fun.
That's awesome. Well, I know that the message you're sharing here, Abby, in your experience will resonate with a lot of our young people in Southeast Minnesota. So, and it's about 6:15 on a Wednesday evening. So for you to take the time to have this conversation, have it recorded, have it shared, just means a lot to me and other folks here in this part of the state. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. And I would just love to get more people out to see what we're doing. And if anybody's interested in talking or coming to see the farm or harvesting some cabbages, we're always open to it.
I have our 3 kids and my wife are in the background, and we may have to make a trip down and participate in that.
Seriously, come down. Just give me a call.
All right. Thank you so much, Abby.
Yeah, thank you.